na tutoe hii kisirani ya vita katika barago hii. Tumekubaliana kama viongozi na wazee na vijana wetu kwa tutaishi kwa amani.
The governor was in company of other elected leaders, among them Samburu Senator Lumbesi Lelengwe, Samburu North Member of Parliament Eli Letipila, and Nachola Member of County Assembly Lawrence Lorunyei, who emphasized on the importance of peace in the region.
Peace is not an event, it is a process. This is the first step of the process, and I want to assure our people that we are committed to the process up to the end. The governor and ourselves during our campaigns, that was our #1 manifesto, and this is the first day. And we've come and told our people that as we promised, we are going to deliver.
Na vile governor anatupenda sana na serikali ya leo inatupenda sana, ni matumaini kwangu na maombi kwangu ya kwamba Samburu North itakuwa mfano mzuri kuanzia wakati huu.
Watu waishi kwa amani na wakule nyasi, wakunye maji hapa, na tumekuja kuongelesha wote. Tumekuwa leo na mkutano na Waturkana, tumekuwa pia na mkutano na Wasamburu, na hivi sasa tumemaliza na tumesikizana, na bado tutaendelea kwa kutafuta amani na tutaendelea pamoja na viongozi wote kuwaongelesha kila siku.
The leadership has scheduled a number of peace engagements in the coming weeks, as they will be engaging with herders to get their views regarding peacekeeping in the region.
Fata madede yetu tunakaa mzuri, pamoja na mbuzi yetu, pamoja na ng'ombe yetu tunakaa mzuri, tunakaa unapata na amani.
Tumekuwa tukipoteza maisha ya warani wakati bado kwa wadogo. Kwa hivyo tukipenda serikali tusaidie tupate amani.
Chichi Josephine, TV 47.
Now, it came to life 17 years ago. Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, the birth of one of Kenya's oldest party, was as a result of the 2005 referendum. The recent undertones by some of its young members, however, raising questions on the future of the party after its leaders, Raila Odinga, failed to clinch the presidency for the 5th time. Mwege William now reports that the party leadership is contemplating on its next move after the August polls.
The 2005 referendum pitting the then sitting president, the late Mwai Kibaki, and his road minister Raila Odinga birthed the Orange Democratic Movement. 17 years later, we go down memory lane to the birth and survival of Kenya's long-serving opposition party, ODM. Power and Brokers begins now. The Orange Democratic Movement journey dates back to 2005. This was during the referendum campaigns which later led to a face-off between the late President Mwai Kibaki and his then Minister of Roads Raila Odinga. The political difference between the two led to the formation of ODM Kenya. The then proposed draft constitution, popularly known as the Kilifi draft, had the support of President Kibaki, but his minister Raila Odinga was against it. Kibaki used the banana symbol for the yes camp, while Raila Odinga and his team used an orange symbol for the no camp.
It began simply when Kibaki went back against his word in terms of the new constitution. He had said in 100 days, which will be within January, February of 2003, Kibaki has promised us a new constitution. He went against it. He was then pushed and pushed and pushed. And by 2005, when he could no longer withstand the push, he then went and took the original Boma's draft, took it to Kilifi with Wako and mutilated it, and then brought it in a referendum, known as the Wako draft or the Kilifi draft or the Kibaki draft.
We had never had a referendum in Kenya before, so that was the first one. And Kenyans were excited. It was a new phenomenon, you know. And it went on and on until the referendum day.
Later that year, Kenyans got a chance to express their views about the constitution, and in November 21st, 2005, 58% of voters rejected the proposed constitution, and the No camp led by Raila Odinga was handed victory. This win for Raila and the team was short-lived, with the head of state firing all pro-No cabinet ministers and senior government officials.
In the referendum of 2005, the bananas lost to the oranges, and immediately quite a number of cabinet ministers who supported the oranges were sacked from the government.
Led by Honorable Raila Odinga, there was Kalonzo Musyoka, there was William Ole Ntimama, quite a number of them.
After the win of the No team, but also in protest to President Kibaki firing a number of ministers, through lawyer Mugambi Manyara, an opportunity presented itself and a party was formed from the No team symbol, Orange Democratic Movement. However, a few months to the 2007 general election, wrangles emerged within the party with two factions opposing each other. One was led by Kalonzo Musyoka and the other by Raila Odinga. The fight was mainly about who has to be the party's presidential flag bearer. In mid-August 2007, the wrangles became so intense, leading to the formation of two factions, the pro-Raila and pro-Kalonzo factions. It was at that point when the current Makueni Senator Dan Maanzo declared that ODM Kenya belonged to Kalonzo and Raila was left with no option but to form ODM party, as it is known today.
The Orange movement, the orange now, the symbol of the referendum, got a momentum of its own from 2005 and retained everybody who had been in the forefront of that referendum except for Uhuru Kenyatta, because Uhuru Kenyatta was part of it. But in 2007, Uhuru Kenyatta was leader of opposition. KANU then actually joined Kibaki. And Raila now, ODM had become a party. Initially, ODM Kenya, somebody from Kalonzo's side had run away with a certificate.
A young lawyer then taking off with a certificate and hiding it, leaving everything in disarray. Now he's a senator of Makueni, my very good friend, Senator Dan Maanzo.
I was advised as an advocate to register and also as a chairman, ODM Kenya, because ODM had already been reserved by unknown people then. And therefore went to the Registrar of Societies and got ODM Kenya registered, which later on changed its name to Wiper, because you see ODM and ODM Kenya shared colors and they shared a lot of commonalities towards 2007.
It is in its first time to participate in a general election as a party that ODM engaged in its first coalition, where Raila Odinga, William Ruto, Musalia Mudavadi, Najib Balala and the late Joe Nyaga formed the famously known Pentagon, leaving out Kalonzo Musyoka. In the 2007 general election, ODM presented its first presidential candidate after Raila Odinga won the nomination, with Mudavadi as his running mate. Raila and Kalonzo took on Kibaki in a hotly contested election whose final results plunged the country into chaos.
And in 2007, during the campaign, it was a repeat of the 1992 campaign, where it was vibrancy, ideology, ideas, and policy against the status quo. So 2007, I remember so well how the ODM performed. And after the election, although we had post-election violence, disputed election, presidential election, where, it's quite unbelievable that somebody who is leading by 1.5 million votes can lose just in a span of 2 hours. He's overtaken and he loses the election.
In 2008, ODM held its first election following the enactment of the Political Parties Act that saw Raila picked as its party leader. Soon after, the Pentagon will fall out with some of the leaders defecting from the party led by now President of the Republic, William Ruto, followed by Musalia Mudavadi, who was recently appointed as Prime Cabinet Secretary to the Ruto-led government.
The ODM that we saw on TV is not the ODM that we discovered internally. I mean, because on TV, ODM would be talking about internal democracy, democratic processes, participation of the people, these things that they're angling about. You know, they're always constantly in the streets protesting on one day or the other. So we really, I mean, for someone who believes in civic and political rights, I thought ODM then was a very good political party.
So then ODM was like that. In 2013, many of the people with Raila had left him. Talk of Balala, talk of Ngilu, people in the Pentagon, talk of Mudavadi was running on his own.
After the KANU party, one will not fail to give credit to ODM being the longest surviving party in Kenya, maintaining its consistency over the years of existence. Forming coalitions and political pacts is one of the ways that the Orange Party has survived.
I would say ODM has stood the test of time. It has participated in 4 general elections, 2007, 2013, 2017, and now 2022. These are major general elections. And I would say the party, any party that participates in as many elections as ODM has done is a political party that deserves accolade.
Raila has never been interested in becoming president. Because if he was interested in becoming president, there's how to become president. You know, you have to put in the extra work. You have to put in the mechanics of becoming president. I think he's happy to lose, I think, and regenerate himself. Because, pardon me, if Raila became president in 2007, if he won 2 terms, 2002 and 2007, where would he have been now? It would have been obsolete, isn't it? So now he has found a way of regenerating himself by losing elections. So maybe in 2027, he might actually just go for it 20 years later.
After the 2007 elections in 2012, the Raila-led party came up with a strategy of uniting with other parties to form a coalition. In December 2012, then Prime Minister Raila Odinga and Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka signed a coalition agreement but left their supporters guessing who will be the coalition's presidential candidate through talks chaired by now Speaker of the National Assembly Moses Wetangula. Together with other 11 political outfits, the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy CORD was formed. In a heated back and forth boardroom discussions, finally, the coalition settled for Raila as the flag bearer, with the team losing the election to Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, who had joined hands.
And later on, after 2013, when President Kibaki was exiting, the Oranges came back together, and the Honorable Raila Odinga and Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka vied for the presidency and the deputy presidency together in 2013.
Uhuru and Ruto could not support Kalonzo for presidency. So what option did he have? The only next thing was to team up with Raila. In 2017, these guys were still together. Kalonzo wouldn't win alone, so he had to team up with Raila.
Another defining moment for Orange Democratic Party was in the 2017 general election. Again, as a party, despite having a rich support base, didn't go to election alone. ODM joined hands with other parties, forming the National Super Alliance. With its presidential flag bearer from the ODM party, Raila Odinga, once again failed to occupy the house on the hill. Like the previous coalitions ODM was in, NASA crumbled after the general election, with its tenants fleeing and failing to outlive a 5-year election cycle, with the cracks first emerging in 2018 when ODM's party leader was controversially sworn in as the people's president at Uhuru Park, with the other NASA leaders absent.
That time you team up with Raila, it is like you have to agree he's a senior partner. So now the tension you are talking about emerges, because how do you tell your people next time round that even now I must support Raila? Because then the reality even then is that he never had won that election. So you can't say it's my turn after you had won. And yet there's a problem telling people let's support this guy again. So that kind of, it's a very difficult situation he finds himself in.
You know, the best way to build an institution is to have systems of that institution work. You know, the National Executive Committee, the National Governing Convention, the National Democratic Convention are things that are supposed to be the organs of the party. They're supposed to check on the leadership. They're supposed to help the leader feel the pulse of the political party. But I think in ODM, they're all dead. The parliamentary group meeting is a charade. And, so when we went there, thinking we could help ODM be what it was, it turned into circus.
ODM took the same route and strategy applied in previous elections by forming coalitions. Forming the Azimio la Umoja coalition, where again ODM party played the big brother game, having its party leader as the flag bearer. The outfit brought together a number of parties, including the sitting president's then party, Jubilee, following an acrimonious fallout of Uhuru Kenyatta and then his deputy William Ruto. Will Azimio la Umoja sent a hold till the end of the 5-year election cycle? This, as for the fourth time, the ODM party will be on the opposition side.
Life has to continue. You don't have to dwell on the past. You have to think and re-strategize and build a stronger movement. You don't have to walk out of the movement because we did not get the ultimate prize. Stay put, remain focused, strategize, and bounce back. You'll be bigger than ever before.
ODM is for octogenarians, the 72-year-olds, the 82-year-olds. I mean, they're comfortable there. And to demand of them to think afresh, I mean, Raila is comfortable with the Oburu Odinga around him. Raila is comfortable with James Orengo around him. Raila is comfortable with 72-year-olds. The young people think too fast for him.
Young people want to take over a party. It usually leads to a split. The saving grace that is there in ODM now is these young people don't seem to have a young person leading them that they would say they are going to follow. I think the focus now is to inherit ODM and to try to create a transition in ODM to new leadership. Now, will that lead to a change or a split? It's still early days.
The culture of forming coalition has not been the only tradition witnessed in the evolution of ODM. Members of the party have, after each general election in the existence of the Orange Party, seen its top leadership dumping the party following internal wrangles and disquiets.
Raila is not going to have deep state. This time around, they use the chiefs, the DCs to intimidate us, intimidate the people. Number two, they're going to be very broke by the time it is 2027. So we have a good field of play. It was a good rehearsal, and 2027 is going to be.
So all these leagues put together, they bring together different ideological thoughts on how to build a bigger and more vibrant movement as we go towards the 2027 general election. We'll put our miseries behind. We'll focus on the bigger picture.
ODM is a party of talent. ODM is a party of talent. In fact, it's only recently other parties like Jubilee and now UDA can compare to ODM in terms of talent. We used to say PNU ni chama ya pesa. ODM chama ya brains, educated brain people. So there's so much talent in ODM, even without Raila, it will continue.
The Orange Democratic Movement, being the country's longest-serving opposition party, has with reignited energy participated in previous election. Is its time up? 4 elections, different coalitions, albeit the same flag bearer Raila Odinga from ODM. What will ODM be without Odinga in the matrix?
ODM has been the bedrock and under the firm grip of Raila Odinga for the last 17 years plus, since 2005. And in those 17 years, Raila has been agile. He's been the de facto leader. He's been the person who's leading this particular party.
ODM is a movement. ODM and Raila, actually, that is the face of the struggle for this country. And you know, a struggle does not end with a face. So if you people are looking at elections like this year's election, that is just a battle in a big war.
The moment you stop mentoring leaders, the moment you stop giving birth to younger leaders, that is the moment you start dying. There is no leadership. Even seeds sprout so that you give birth to the next generation. Raila has refused to do that, and because he's refused to do that, you can only wish him well with this ODM party.
Raila Odinga He has always said, I'm the party leader of the ODM. But ODM is for the people. Their members, even the smallest person in Turukana, who is an official of the party, can emerge and become the party leader of the ODM. This is a political movement. It's not a personal political movement.
The Orange Democratic Movement has had its party leader as a presidential flag bearer in 4 general elections. Will this be the same case come 2027? Only time will tell. Mwege William, TV 47, Power and Brokers.
All right, Mwege William there on a very comprehensive report as to the existence of ODM and what way forward. Thank you so much for that piece, Mwege, and for as well jogging our minds to remind us on this. Now, Nairobi County Assembly Speaker Ken Ngondi, together with other Azimio leaders, attended the Thanksgiving church service at the Redeemed Gospel Church in Embakasi South. The leaders accused Kenya Kwanza government of trying to interfere with the just concluded Nairobi City County Speaker's elections. Speaker Ngondi says there were several attempts to block him from vying for the seat by promising him goodies in the Kenya Kwanza government.
The Chief Executive of the Republic of Kenya. We need him to do.
So vile mimi nyinyi mko na matumaini kwangu kama MCA wenu, na mimi pia niko na matumaini kwa spika wangu. Najua mambo yangu nikipeleka pale juu haitakwama, na sababu pia niko na baba yangu hapa na mama yangu hapa, ikikwama kidogo nitakuwa naleta ripoti hapa.
This is the first time ambayo nimeona democracy inanunuliwa. Nimechukua MCS 68 nimepeleka Manzoni with a budget of 11.4 million. Ikifika usiku saa 5:30 inapigiwa simu, serikali wametuma watu wamekuja kununua watu wetu. Naona MCS ahia ndio wako hapa. Tukatoka nje tukasema what we do, wakataka the Muslim community. Mheshimiwa wale ametuma, anasema tafadhali basi wewe tunakuweka unakuwa naibu waziri, una resign kama MCA, tutakuteua kama naibu waziri na ukuje usign papers immediately.
And President William Ruto's tour of Nyanza Sunday kick-started with a long-term charm offensive for the county's 5th president in a region that overwhelmingly voted for opposition leader Raila Odinga. Ruto's Homa Bay County tour, given a wide berth by local leaders, did not, however, deter him from unleashing goodies to the region in a reconciliatory call that is likely to become the hallmark of his presidency. That is what TV47 Apollo Kamau details.
President William Ruto's Homa Bay County maiden tour in Azimio leader Raila Odinga's stronghold marks the beginning of a crucial charm offensive that seeks to rally the region behind his presidency, but also assure the region they are part of his government, despite having overwhelmingly voted for Odinga in the August 9 presidential election.
Competition is over. Si tumemaliza mambo ya mashindano. Si tumemaliza mambo ya mashindano. Si ile kazi imebaki ni sisi kuwafanyia kazi sasa. Si ni kweli? Muko tayari kufanya kazi na mimi? Munasema nifanye kazi na viongozi wenu wale mliowachagua. Mimi nawahakikishia nitafanya kazi na wao ndio tupange mambo ya maendeleo ya Homa Bay.
Before the trip, Ruto had already appointed a cabinet secretary from the region, Elliot Owalo, with his deputy Rigathi Gachagua making his first trip to Kisumu last week as the duo tries to consolidate the country in their first term in office. Nyanza, which has known no other political kingpin apart from Odinga, is faced with a Damascus moment in the run-up to the 2027 polls after a section of its leaders, led by MDG party leader and Ugenya MP David Ochieng, defected to Ruto's camp.
Mimi nitaheshimu Rais Uhuru Kenyatta na nitaheshimu Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga kama viongozi waliokutangulia, na mimi nataka niwahakikishie hawa viongozi wetu watapata heshima ya kutosha.
Former Homa Bay gubernatorial aspirant Evans Kidero, who has formed his own political party, is a person to watch after rejecting Odinga in a region where Odinga has groomed no one to succeed him. Pundits say Ruto's tour is also a spot check to prop up regional kingpins to extend his hustler tentacles, not just in Nyanza, but in the coast and Ukambani regions. Ruto's inroads in Nyanza during his Sunday trip are premised on his willingness to work with all leaders and complete unfinished projects in the region, among them crucial roads connecting fishing villages in Migori and Homa Bay. The fact that no elected leader from the county accompanied the president exposed the soft underbelly of political grudges arising from the August 9 general election, with County Governor Gladys Wanga saying she's out of the country on official duty. Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma said he was not aware of the visit and therefore unable to receive the president. Apol Kamau, TV47.
Now, President William Ruto says his government will allocate a total of 2 billion shillings to achieve water projects in Homa Bay County in an effort to continue with the work left pending by the previous government. Ruto visited Homa Bay County, that is Sunday, for the first time since his inauguration, where he attended a church service in AIC Church, Homa Bay. However, some leaders from the Nyanza region skipped Ruto's meeting with specific reasons. Micah Gungu reports.
For the first time since his inauguration, President William Ruto has visited Homa Bay County, where he attended a church service at AIC Church, Homa Bay. Accompanied by other leaders including Kiharu legislator Ndidi Nyoro, Ugenya MP David Ochieng, CS nominee for Information Eliud Owalo, among others. President Ruto said his government has allocated 2 billion shillings to achieve water projects in the county to further improve Homa Bay County.
Hiyo chata ya Homa Bay mimi niko nayo na tulikubaliana yale mambo tulikubaliana. Mimi nataka niwahakikishie nitazingatia haya mambo, tutashirikiana na viongozi wenu, na hii Homa Bay haiwezi kubaki nyuma wakati Kenya inasonga mbele. And therefore I want to give you my assurance that the agreement we made between the people of Homa Bay when I came here for our economic forum, that commitment, I am going to work with all elected leaders in Homa Bay County and in all counties in the Republic of Kenya so that we can transform our country on the basis of the plan we have agreed upon.
Ruto assured Homa Bay residents that roads construction in the county will also be a priority, including the ones that were not complete at the end of the former President Uhuru Kenyatta's tenure.
Nataka pia mjue tunawaheshimu viongozi wale wametutangulia. Tunaheshimu rais wetu Uhuru Kenyatta, tunaheshimu Prime Minister wetu Raila Odinga. Na hawa viongozi wetu ambao wametutangulia, tutahakikisha kwamba wako na heshima, wanapatiwa heshima yao wakati wanaendelea na kutusaidia katika viwango zingine.
The head of state said it is because he wants the county that borders Lake Victoria to look like a city, noting that the projects will also create employment for the youth. However, a section of leaders from Nyanza region, among them Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga and area MP Peter Kaluma, skipped Ruto's meeting. In a statement Sunday, Wanga said she was at the moment out of the country, hence the reason why she would be absent during the service. Wanga noted that despite her absence, the president will be received well by Homa Bay residents.
Competition is over. Si tumemaliza mambo ya mashindano.
And when he was leaving, President Ruto had a chance to address the residents of Homa Bay County, where he assured them that his government will not discriminate the Kenyans who never elected him. He says all Kenyans have equal opportunities and will be served equally, without preferences.
Kwa hivyo, I want to give you my assurance that as president, I am going to work with all the leaders you have elected so that we can transform Homa Bay. We are going to work together so that we can serve you as the people who have elected us.
Mike Kagwongo, TV 47.
Now, police are investigating an incident in which 7 family members of Gichiche village, Runyenje's Embu, died in a dawn inferno. The 7 include father, mother, their 3 children, and their 2 grandchildren. Confirming the incident, Embu East Deputy County Commissioner, that is Jane Waringe, said investigations are underway to establish the cause of the fire, as Andrin Kilemi reports.
Nothing could have prepared the residents of Gishishe village for this early morning, since where the remains of a 3-bedroomed house that was razed down into ashes together with its occupants laid bare. 7 family members died in the incident. A father, mother, their 2 children and 3 grandchildren, all burnt beyond recognition.
Mimi nikafikiria nachoma wale siabu wala wanatembea usiku. Nikaona huu moto ni mkubwa sana, si wa siabu. Nikaenda karibu. Nikaenda tu, nikaona ni nyumba imepata moto.
Confirming the early morning incident, Embu East Deputy County Commissioner Jane Waringe said investigations are underway to establish the cause of the fire, which is said to have started at around 4 a.m. Sunday.
Wakati huu hatujaweza kujua chanzo cha moto huu, lakini officers wetu wote wako hapa. DCI officers wako hapa, tuko na deputy OCPD ako hapa, na officers wote wako na crime scene officers kutoka Embu pia wameweza kufika ili waweze kufanya uchunguzi.
Neighbors say they do not know whether the incident was just a mere accident or a criminal activity, further calling on security personnel to hasten the investigation process.
Yule mdogo sana ako na miaka 4, mwingine ako na miaka 6, mwingine ako na miaka 8, mwingine alikuwa anaenda kufanya mtihani wa KCB.
Local leaders are also calling on residents to volunteer any information that may help authorities unravel the misery of the deadly fire. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
Well, that's quite unfortunate there, Andrina Santi, for that report. That now takes us to a quick short break, and in a bit we come back to that important discussion as pertaining to the country's way forward, and that should be after this break.
You are watching TV 47. the risks that of Nakuru City in Kisulisuli Estate, just a few minutes from the central business district. Great Rift Apartments, the hub of soft living.
Check it, you're true. Bro. Check it. No, bro. Guys.
Disability is not only limited to physical disorder, but also mental issue. From depression,
I was under depression for like 2 years.
Bipolar.
Bipolar disorder is a mood disorder.
And even suicidal thoughts.
When I was just about to hang myself, a certain voice just talked to me, and I believe that was God. I tried suicide more than 6 times.
Beyond the Limit has gone beyond its limit to find answers so as to help everyone go through life with ease. Join Muthoni Maina every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Starting this September at 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday, The Realtor brings it all to perspective. We identify a property, discuss and demonstrate the journey towards ownership.
Professionals who have integrity, and from their catalog you can easily read that these are professionals who are able to deliver.
Everywhere you go, you have to up your games, you have to go with the trends.
Not forgetting the margins as well as the risks that come along.
The runaway prices of the land. We are saying that it's something that we can never go without mentioning. Any developer will not go without mentioning price of land.
Don't miss out.
Most of the times we say Mondays, really we do not have much to look into, but they can never lack news. And I mean, this would take us even to the global fraternity as we appreciate and celebrate our very own Ruto and other sportsmen and women, athletes if you'd want to call them, and also as we delve deep into the situation of the country, this as the new government continues and, you know, makes this adjustment in terms of making sure that we steer the country forward. And in studio with me is Dennis Yambi, a youth leader and political analyst. Thank you so much, Dennis, for, you know, raising the cold, waking up very early to be with us this morning. We only have like about an hour, therefore, to look at some of the key stories that are making headlines this morning, and I think it will be in order for us to allow you first say jambo to the people who are watching us, and importantly for us to take a look at the papers. Karibu.
Asante. Jambo, good morning Kenya. Yeah.
Right, yes, as straight as that. I know. You know, when we have political leaders, they will want to say jambo to their very own people. They'll want to say to their constituents, you know, and tell them this is what we're planning. But, you know, when we really have not gotten into such spaces, it's as straight as jambo. Yes, and so we have the papers this morning, the Standard newspaper, the Daily Nation, we also have the People Daily, which speaks more or less the same thing. One thing that interests me is this story that has been captured on the Daily Nation as to what next for the Raila orphans. But even before that, we take a moment to celebrate Kipruto's win.
Yeah, exactly. This is our very own.
Yes.
And I think our Maradhonas are a good example of how Kenya should be going forward. We keep winning, we get new people like Kipruto coming on board, winning his first major. And going forward, I know we shall have way more replacing him in future. And I also foresee in Kenya, especially when it comes to political leadership, that we can emulate the very good Maradonas of ours. They are our own. We can copy them and actually survive all the hurricane that come with political turbulence in Kenya.
That's true.
Yeah, so heko to Kipruto. We wish him the best as he wins his first major.
Yeah.
And we know he's going to get way more medals.
That's true.
For Kenya, yeah.
All right, and that we appreciate. We always ask ourselves just what needs to be done to make sure that we also celebrate our sportsmen and women when they come back home. Do they feel like they're appreciated? These are our heroes. This go down into the books of history. We have a new face of cabinet, and therefore a new face that is at the sports sector.
Exactly.
And definitely we are all looking forward to see some essence of change from the Amina reign, from the previous reign of the likes of Echesa, the Rio sagas, and all that. Do you suppose then that we should envision much in terms of greatness, especially when we look at the CS that takes this very docket? Should be Ababu Namwamba.
Yes,
all right. Do you suppose there's some essence of change that he would bring along?
I believe so, because he's a young man, and I think he has a proven track record of working for the young people. And I'm looking forward for a CS in sports who is going to enrich our spectrum of all sports. Work with every other sport in Kenya, starting from golf to athletes to football, soccer, and all other sports. Because as we look, if you take a sneak preview of our sports in Kenya at the moment, it's in a total mess. Our athletes, they better go work for other countries, abroad maybe, or maybe get some other pay elsewhere, because they do a very good job for Kenya and they don't get it. They don't get the pay. A very good example is Congestina. You know, she's always, exactly, she's always in some village somewhere after rescue after rescue. She's, you know, we should have programs for sportsmen and women. Before they start the sports in their early age and post-retirement. And I think the CS is looking at this. Someone like Kipruto here is starting to win his major. As a government, a new government that is coming in place, they should have strategies. They should come up with approaches on how they are going to nurture this talent to win more medals for Kenya, and also to win more income for their families and for their community. Because these are sportsmen and women consider their main hustle to be that sport. So they must earn from it. And a good example is there was a time some athletes from Uganda performed so well. And when they went back to Uganda, Museveni actually honored them with each one of them with some good amount of money and SUVs. What is the new government going to do for our sportsmen and women going forward? So I beseech the incoming CS, is now a nominee, Ababu Namwamba, to put in place such strategies to ensure that our sportsmen and women are properly celebrated in Kenya.
That's true, and we're looking forward to that. Perhaps this should be the first, you know, assignment for them, and we see how then they'll get to handle these ones that have made us proud, not forgetting what Eliud did just the other day. And inside Ruto's costly bloated executive, that is also one thing that we look at as we speak of the CSAs and what we expect of them. Definitely, it's been a conversation throughout last week, and now working into this week as we are awaiting the vetting processes for these great faces that will take up the challenge and the mantle towards making sure that the dreams of Dr. William Ruto then for the country are realized. But then it appears that it's going to be costly, up from 42 to 49 from the previous reign. Even at that level of the previous reign, we kept on saying that ours is a bloated government and a bloated executive. And even worse, sometimes you could say that it's bloated, but then we get value for money. In this case, how does he try to strike that balance to make sure that while he has topped up to the list, then definitely there's going to be value for money such that Kenyans will not feel like they are shortchanged in comparison to also what played out with the previous government?
Okay, personally, I don't have a problem with many people working somewhere, especially when it comes to the CS nominees, I think there are 22.
Yeah.
Calling it bloated, I think that is overstating it.
Is it?
That's overstating it.
Okay.
They're just 22.
22, that's one, that is according to the Constitution, and that one there's no way the president then will be able to go beyond.
And our Constitution, our Constitution, the 2010, envisioned such a situation and said, you president, you'll only do a maximum of 22. So he has done the 22, so I don't think it's bloated.
No. They speak of generally the executive, and you understand that it would not just be about the faces of those ones that are ministers. Definitely, we are looking forward to perhaps have CSs and the PSs that will then come in and all this. That's why they say up from 42, that was with the previous government, now his goes up to the level of 49.
49, yeah.
Yes, and so in a huge way, maybe that would be looked at as a bloated executive. What's important is for us to get value for money, as we always say. And so we'd not really want to look at the numbers, but then again, it's a concern that has been raised. And I mean, even if you look at what plays out across the global fraternity, you realize that in terms of representation, that Kenyans takes, or takes space in the largest or a majority of the countries that has a largest form of representation that sometimes really does not seem to work for the people. Maybe perhaps this is what then informs this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the way you said, Linda, like I'm not looking at this as a bloated one. I'm looking at it as a team that is going to perform for Kenyans. When we get the value for money, the taxes that we pay every day, when you leave your house every morning, going to work, doing your hustle through the day, paying those guys that you see on TV or you believe or they have been given to us to work for us, I believe value for money is the most important thing here. We can have a lean, very lean executive, but then we do not get the value for money.
Yes.
So I just believe we have to give them the benefit of the doubt that yes, you've increased from 42 to 49, but we are going to get the value for money. Because every other person that has been nominated or appointed in any position, I believe they are going to do their work well, because we cannot start criticizing them when they have not started working. Maybe when we come back for another time for an interview, maybe after around 6 months, we can start saying, okay, fine, Linda, I was here some time and I said these guys will do better, but they're not doing better.
But let's face it, let's really face it. Some of these spaces by the time they are considered bloated is because we look at the previous reigns and the numbers that were there and maybe the things that they managed to do. And we also understand that we are in a space where politically we always try to sit correct with a certain alignment. And even as we sit that, then we expect loyalty to be rewarded. And in this space where, true to it, we have seen people being rewarded and actually positions being created so that we can get to accommodate people. Don't you think this is a cause for concern that in as much as they perform the duties that are expected, in as much as we are at a space where we know we lack employment and therefore having more of them means creation of employment for a majority of Kenyans because they also deserve to be employed. Don't you think it's necessary that we get back to the drawing board and understand what informs the desire and the need for us to get these numerous numbers?
Exactly. That's the point. Like, in as much as I still go back to my point that for us to get the value for money, we need the best people working in our best departments, in our ministries. I know our president has created new ministries like the one for cooperatives, which will be headed by Chelgui, which will be administering the Hustler Fund. You see, that's a new ministry that needed a new guy. And he did away with the devolution. So I think it was a matter of give and take. What are you bringing on board to realize the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, the objectives that they have? So I feel like the formation of the new government, the new executive, is probably and mostly oscillating about achieving the Kenya Kwanza goals. So the way I said, let us give them some time.
Okay.
When we come back, Linda, after 6 months, we can say, okay, fine, you guys, you didn't perform, and niliwatetea kwa TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, they say it's a prerogative of the president
Yeah.
to set up his executive, and if he has done that and he does not flout any form of law, then in that case we have to support him.
Yeah, we have to support,
and like you say, we await to see what happens. What next for Raila's orphans?
Wow. I don't consider them orphans.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at
These
their
are
faces.
politicians. They will always find ways
Yeah,
of
these guys,
sizing, yes.
yeah, these guys will always find their way back.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it will not last a year before you see Hassan Joho, Eugene Wamalwa, Charity Ngilu, Peter Munya, and the rest. There are many. These are just few faces. I don't consider them orphans. These are qualified leaders of this country. They have served in various positions. They have served our people in and most of them, when I look at them, they are distinguished. Like now you can see Paranya, he has been the governor of Kakamega, and he did very well.
Yeah.
I am sure, and the way Mr. President is extending his good hand, he will still reach out to them,
Yeah.
and they will no longer be orphans.
And you see now that's the problem. Are they the same people that will have to see positions created for? And are you saying that, well, the government is big enough to accommodate all these people? Remember, we have very many people who are foot soldiers of the president under the Kenya Kwanza banner. And that while we all say that the government is big, it also cannot, you know, just have everybody and anybody incorporated in it. So when you say that somehow they will just, you know, revive themselves politically, what exactly do you mean? And the likes of Joho, like you say, are diehards of Baba. Is it time that they soften their stance?
You see, when you're applying for a job anywhere in the world, they normally look for experience.
Yeah.
They ask you, how many years have you worked here? Can you show us what you can do? These are very experienced public servants. They have been in various positions, even some of them before they became governors or ministers. Like Munya was a governor before he became a minister. So you cannot just do away with such a great experience.
Yeah.
He can bring on table a lot of good experience.
But when you talk about experience, just how much did Munya do in his? I mean, and I mean, we just knew it's the other day, and therefore we can draw parallels. We can take a look and see whether indeed they did well. Eugene Wamalwa, Peter Munya. We speak of Governor Oparanya, who has done well for the people of Kakamega. I mean, can we confidently say that this lady or ladies and gentlemen come with a wealth of experience that just cannot be wished away for the benefit of making the best of the country?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, these people, our leaders, they have amassed experience over years. They know how to run government is a very is a bureaucracy, and it's a very complicated, especially if you've been there before. For you to maneuver through, you need people who know how to do it.
Yeah.
And most of the Kenya Kwanza supporters, most of them are new to this, and that is why you see the president tapped into some experienced individuals, and even in his cabinet, when you see people, I've seen people say that he has brought on most politicians, and I don't know why Kenyans mostly demonize politicians. You know, these politicians are experts in their own right and in their different disciplines. So I don't think being a politician is a wrong thing to be appointed into cabinet, because they bring a wealth of experience. And looking at the cabinet names that the president read last week on Tuesday, you'll see that he really tried to balance. He really balanced between politicians and technocrats. And the good thing in Kenya is so many technocrats are becoming politicians. Because those who are appointed, I'll take for example here, like Dr. Susan Wafula, who is the CS nominee in health. She's a technocrat. She's been in the healthcare sector for a very long time. But also, she was briefly a politician since 2017. So you cannot say he has brought on a politician.
Okay.
These are like, he's a technocrat, he's a skilled person, he's been working in healthcare. So when she's appointed, you cannot start saying, okay, fine, the president has brought on a politician. Yes, he's a politician, but also he's a qualified person to be in that cabinet. And that goes to also the other CS nominees. Even Moses Kuria is an experienced guy. Even Murkomen is an experienced guy. These are guys, when given proper resources, and when they sit down with their PSS in the coming days and they come up with good strategies, these are guys who are going to perform well. I'm just wishing them well, because after some time we shall come back here and criticize their moves.
That's
and
true.
everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we await to see that, definitely it will be interesting. You expect that all of them are going to get a clean bill of health at the level of Parliament, that if then Honorable Musalia Mudavadi is to appear before the parliamentarians for vetting as well. I mean, it will be an interesting one to watch, that he is almost an automatic sail through.
So, because, okay, most of them, I cannot say all of them, you know, that power rests with the parliament and the vetting committees that will be formulated to vet these members.
Yeah.
But I believe most of them, around 90%, will go through, if not 100, because I've tried to look at the names of the nominees, and most of them, they are Kenyans that we know, and they are going to go through. So I can tell Kenyans, expect those nominees, most of them, to be your CSS after the vetting.
All right. Well, we look forward to that. It will definitely be a good one to watch. And the Standard newspaper this morning speaks of Ruto's strategy to slice Raila base. Hardly a month in office, President has trained his sights on Nyanza and Western, dishing out goodies and promising to work with local leaders who are already warming up to his charm. This was captured on page 6, 7, and 10. Quite an intensive, piece as pertaining to, first of all, he's traversing the different parts of the, strongholds of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Even Rigathi Gachagua did some time back, and the excitement was surprising because in previous times you would expect that they would be received with animosity. But the excitement by the people of Nyanza should tell you that Kenyans have gotten to that space where they say, we accept that you are our president, Mr. President, let us move on. But in this, then, you find that some leaders were not in attendance to walk the president through, which he says is fine. And some of them also, are sending letters to give reasons as to why they won't be able to attend, but also, appreciating and wishing the president a nice day as he visits these very places. What does that speak, first of all, before we even look at his strategy, as they would call it, to slice Raila's base? What does it mean when the leaders decide not to join in? Because many would say, if it was maybe Right Honorable Raila Odinga, if it was President Uhuru Kenyatta, that have created time to be around there. Are these leaders lagging their people behind, in the best of their own interests?
Okay, fine. First of all, before I really answer your question, I would really like to thank the people of Kenya for maintaining peace all through since the end of the elections and the Supreme Court verdict came out. And it's always, democracy is someone will win and another person will lose. And I'm happy because the perceived stronghold of the former Prime Minister, maybe people expected when Ruto goes there will be some jitters, but he went there. And also the Deputy President was there just the other week, and we can see the warm reception they get. And we say, thank God that Kenya is at that level. When you watch TV and see the other countries, you realize that opposition politics are very lethal. That a leader from the other camp cannot go to the other camp's place. But in Kenya it is happening. We thank God for that. About the leaders from the region, starting from the governor, that is Gladys Wanga, missing in the Ruto's event, I think that is not excusable, because if it was President Uhuru, in fact it is now hard to refer to President Ruto as president, because we are still used to him being the deputy. If it was President Uhuru, just a few weeks ago, like 3, assume he was going to the same place, everything else
would have been put to
including the chickens. They will be told, don't go feed. The president is coming here. And the way, there was a song that the Azimio camp used to sing every time, respect the president. Respect is two-way. You don't have to respect that man, but respect the office. That is what they used to say. So I believe for them missing in that event,
Yeah.
it is not wise. But I know they are still nursing the wounds of the Azimio loss. But going forward, I know they are going to accept this, because you could see it from the residents. They were so happy that the President of the Republic of Kenya had gone down there where they are, talked to them, even without their leaders being there. But the good thing, even though they missed in this event, the good thing that I'm happy about is there was no violence. They didn't plan anything that go shout down the president. That is also a good thing, and it's a process of healing.
Yeah.
So let us give them the benefit of the doubt. Let us say, okay, fine, you're still healing, but once you are completely healed in few months' time, when the president comes back, because I saw in his speech, he said he is going back in a month's time to do some projects there. So let me excuse them and tell them, be there, because this is the president and he's going to be around for some 5 years, and you better work with him for the benefit of the people of Nyanza, especially Homa Bay. Because, I know you wanted to say, why should they
I mean, I'd want to ask, I mean, how can they do that? How can they do that, first of all, without shifting or without appearing as though they're shifting allegiance? How can they do that with the confidence that, you know, they're not going to be labeled as Mafiki Zolos, you know, with this other side? Because it's quite a tricky bit. And I mean, the president has been categorical as well. That can you just sit on the other side and play the opposition role? And I'd want to assume that this cuts across from that level of the executive to that level of the, not really the executive, from that level of the National Assembly, you know, both houses, and going to the MCAs, going to the governors, and going to the Senate. And it's in the public domain that these ones were elected, you know, under the Azimio One Kenya. So how do you walk along with the president, but at the same time, really do not appear as though you've shifted allegiance, which is being criticized anyway?
Yeah, you know, if you depend on the history of how politics has been happening in Kenya, you're so worried that some guys from the oppositions will be working with the president. But I have no issue with that. Actually, you know, as for example, the governor or the MP of the area in which the president went to, that was Kaluma, you have a very rare opportunity to sit with the man who calls the shots at the hill.
Yes.
When you are seated there, you'll be able to tell him, my guy, you know, you came this way, you know, I know you came with the Air Force, but you know, this road from here to here is really impassable.
Yeah.
And my people down there, they are dying of malaria, or maybe when rains come, this place is normally badly flooded. Please, in your plans, maybe you didn't feature it in your manifesto, but in your plans going forward, I ask of you kindly that you consider this. But my role as an opposition, or in opposition, will still remain. But I kindly ask you of this as the president of this country. Do you think the president will not listen to such a plea?
He will definitely.
He will listen.
Yes.
And the people will do what? Will benefit. So by absconding or by avoiding to be there, it's like throwing your people away, also telling your people stay away from development. It is so important, even in a company, where we have the CEO, the person who calls the shots. Whenever you have an opportunity to sit with that person down, it's a golden opportunity for you to discuss issues pertaining to your area or your department or anything. And mark you, most of the times when you discuss, especially this is a perceived opposition, when you tell the president now that I need this thing done, it will not take a lot of time. It will be done. So sometimes it's beyond politics. You need to be so strategic. You need to think so fast, okay, let me go win this for my... And it's not a must that when you walk or sit with the president in the same place, you have to shift camps and go to... You can make it so clear. And so many politicians have done that before. They still sat with Ruto, they did some stuff with him, but they remained in opposition. And that still can go on. And the president himself, in every place he goes, he has been saying, fine, I want a vibrant opposition. So you should take that statement, just those 2-3 words from his speech, and say, okay, fine, you said you want a strong one. Please, let us do development for the people, but allow us to criticize you.
Right.
But avoiding going there is just childish. It's not excusable for me. Because,
but yes, if they had valid reasons, then we give it to them that it would be necessary. Amongst all this, or in all this, there is a strategy from what it is that his insiders would say to slice the base. First of all, one would want to say, by the virtue of him being president, it will be in his best interest to make sure that indeed he appeals to this side, and you know, he should be able to convince the people that in as much as you do not come out strongly to vote for me, I am still your president, and you know, the way I treat those ones that are my strongholds, I definitely want to do the same for the people of, say, Homa Bay, for strongholds of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Just how important is this for him? And what worry does it pose and challenge to the opponents? And I mean, what does it speak of the next 5 years? And now we're talking about 2027, if he successfully does this.
You know, it is in the interest of every politician to calculate ahead. It's also among the 48 laws of power that whenever you have an opportunity to eat into your opponent's base, you will do it without blinking. And we cannot be blind to the fact that Ruto is a compendium of this accomplished politician. He's a guy, when he wants something, he'll go for it. You see, he wants Nyanza. And he's not missing his words. He's going for it. And by the time the opposition leaders realize that he has eaten into them, it can be too late. Politics is about numbers. I know Ruto wants to run again in 2027 to complete his second term. How will he do that without a resounding win? So he has to start looking for numbers now, even as he works. And that is what he's simply doing here. And as you know him, or as I know him, he's so precise. He's going for Nyanza, and I'm assuring you, whether he will get 20 or 30% in 2027, he's going to get from Nyanza. Because he's going there and he's taking their goodies. He's taking their development himself. He's not sending anyone. And he will get the numbers in 2027. Whether it's 10%, 20 or 30, he will get. And that is what he needs. You know, the strategy he used to win this 2022 election was, I don't want to win in every region. I just want to increase my numbers from what we got from 2017. And actually, that is what he did to get that slight advantage of almost 200,000 votes. So he wants to extend that advantage in 2027, and he can't wait. He's so astute and he's going for it. And that is not the only place you'll see. Even when you look at the cabinet nominees, one would expect that maybe majority of the nominees, as it were in 2013 and partly in 2017, that they will come from his backyard. But you see, he said, okay, you guys relax. Let me throw this to some guys so that, okay, that is politics, but also for the general image for Kenya, I think that is good, because the hallmark of inclusivity, you know, someone will believe that you are in government, like where I come from, Western. We have Musalia Mudavadi, we have Babu Namwamba, we have C.S. Susan Nahumicha. We also have Papa Waroma in National Assembly. See, now I feel like actually we are somehow represented after a very long time. So Ruto knows that. And what he's going to do is going, in fact, he will be reshuffling this cabinet after some time, after I think 2 or so years, every time he'll be reshuffling. He'll be donating these positions to people other than those who are supporting him, because he wants to tap and get more numbers from the regions that are currently perceived to be the opposition base.
All right, well, fair enough. Let's wait and see. Does this then literally gets to a point where it finishes completely, the base of Right Honorable Raila Odinga? Is he a person that can be wished away in these very strongholds? And remember, when we're talking about Nyanza, we largely also cannot overlook the likes of the coastal regions. And what does it speak of the local leaders there as well? Because most of the times you find that, you know, now when he's trying to penetrate some of these regions that were not his strongholds from the word go, and even the previous times when he largely, you know, went out to campaign, speak of the Mount Kenya region, there was that, you know, aspect where he walks along with the leaders, the local leaders there. And today, those are the leaders that have been, you know, celebrated, have been rewarded, if you'd want to say. Do you suppose that this will render baseless the leaders of these particular regions, or perhaps there are those ones that will crop up to decide to work with him?
Yeah, partly yes, partly. Okay, first of all, Raila is I can consider him an institution of politics in Kenya. You can never wish him away. He's a guy who can rebrand and come in tomorrow with a very new face, and he can mount a very huge campaign that you have never thought of. So he can never be wished away. As long as he's alive, he's capable of things that no ordinary politician in Kenya can be able to do. And even if he chooses not to vie in 2027, he will be that guy who will call huge shots in this country. Because majority of politicians under him, he is not only their leader, but a role model.
Yeah.
People want to be like him. Every politician that is in Azimio, even some in Kenya Kwanza, want to be like Raila. Even the current president, Mr. Ruto, at some point wanted to be like Raila. You want to control, and he has been doing that over time. Now we can say they are at least at par with the Honorable Raila Odinga. So you cannot wish Honorable Raila Odinga away. Yes, he lost the presidency, but look at the number of seats he got in the National Assembly. Look at the number of governors he got under his name. Some people got votes because they just said Raila. So that is an institution that you cannot wish away. I know some other leaders will come up, the newbies will come, but matching the level of Raila, even wrestling. And that's why I said with your former question that yes, Ruto might get something from Nyanza. Even 20 or 30%. I didn't say even 50. I said maybe 20 or 30,
which 30%. Is a plus to him.
Which is a plus to him, you see? Because in that region, people will listen to what Raila will tell them. I've heard in some corners, people are saying that Raila is finished. He's not finished. He's only quiet for some days. He will surprise us. He will surprise us.
He's always done,
He will come up with something. And that for me, as a Kenyan who loves democracy, that is what is good for the Kenya's democracy going forward. That we have an opposition leader who can come up and actually challenge government decisions head on. And when he starts doing that, I know Ruto will be kept on check all the time. I know that when he starts, and that is
when he swings to action.
When he swings into action, you'll see it yourself. Like things will start.
It will be an interesting 5 years.
It will be very interesting, and I know he's just re-strategizing. He's listening to his people, and he will come back and actually he's going to keep this guy, and that's what makes me happy as a young Kenyan, that the sitting president is encouraging a vibrant opposition. And I know the opposition is encouraging is so vibrant under Raila Odinga. And we are going to have a very interesting 5 years as a Kenya Kwanza government really implements its agenda.
I know in the papers we have a couple of matters that are very important, that are totally different from politics, in as much as we know that it's politics that is the bloodline of all the activities in the country. But even before we look at some of these matters also that have been captured that would interest us, are very, very important as well, that we think for a moment about what has been making rounds for the better part of the weekend. That in his bid to try and, strategize on how he would slice Raila's base, also also these whispers that it could be in his interest to have, all the political parties under the Kenya Kwanza outfit, merge into one party, like we saw with the Jubilee Party, and we had all these small parties merging into that to form one big merger. And in these parties under Kenya Kwanza, we're talking about the likes of the existence of, or the existence of the likes of Ford Kenya Party. Underneath, we also talk of the existence of the likes of ANC. Formidable parties. You can overlook that one of Moses Kuria, not to overlook per se, but to say that, this came in just the other day, and therefore really not much in terms of, forming a structure of the party. And so it would be easy for them to gel into, a major party or a big party or a big outfit. But the likes of Ford Kenya Party. Ford Kenya Party, the country's longest party, or amongst the country's longest parties, and you want to ask yourself, will it now then merge into that to be swallowed? And will it be Moses Wetangula affair, or it goes beyond Moses Wetangula and the structures that they have formed?
Thank you. I don't know why you have really oscillated around Ford Kenya.
Yes, because
I'm a life member.
You're a life. Oh, nice. Now you tell us. Would you want to be swallowed just like that?
Okay. I don't think swallowing up the parties is a good idea for the democracy of this country. And parties like Ford Kenya have existed. I think it is the second oldest party after KANU. KANU is the oldest, then Ford Kenya. Folding it up to join Kenya Kwanza will be subverting actually the democratic will of Kenyans. And like now, we, the life members, like in Ford Kenya, there is no way our party leader, who has now, because he's the Speaker of the National Assembly, he's relinquished those duties for a while. He cannot just make up that decision himself, that I'm folding this party and I'm putting it in under UDA. It is a discussion that has to go to the grassroots level. And that is what I'm always happy with that party, because I have participated before in the consultations regarding whether we should move into Kenya Kwanza before or not.
Okay.
Yeah, there were a lot of consultations.
A lot
of consultation before the final decision was made.
I remember at this point also there was a split that you were dealing with. Yes.
So I think that split has really strengthened our party leader, and he has been reaching out to the grassroots. What do we do here? As the youth league, as the youth leaders, what do we do here? And whenever we give our suggestions, actually they are taken into account. Most importantly is we should not fold this. I'm not for folding the parties up, because Kenya is a democracy, and having a party is also a democratic right, and it's enshrined in our constitution. Folding them up is like swallowing the democratic basis of because different parties in this country represent different interests. When you swallow them up, it's like bringing everybody, all bananas and everything in one basket, and they'll be crashing against each other. So you better have like the arrangement you are having, like now the Kenya Kwanza, the Azimio team, many parties under a coalition, something like that. It works. Although, also on the other side, having fewer parties in this country is important also, because it comes to a time, especially when you are nearing the nomination or the electioneering period, you wonder where were these parties? Some briefcase parties. Guys just walk around with briefcase parties. If we can be able to tame that and have few parties in Kenya, like 5 or so. In fact, some are proposing 2, but 2 I think they are so few. Like 5 or even 10 strong parties in Kenya.
10 would be okay. Well,
yeah, because you see, one party or 2 or 3 will be in power under a coalition. Then the rest will be in opposition. Even in opposition, different parties represent different interests. Like the Kenya Kwanza, there's a Kenya Kwanza and also the other one Kenya. You see, there are 2 coalitions in you see. So the one Kenya has its own interest, and also the other side also has its own interest, even in opposition. So how do you harmonize this? So we better maintain the political parties as they are, but work under coalitions. That is the best arrangement that we have for Kenya. But folding up this, you see what happened in 2017? So many parties were folded up into Jubilee Party. fast forward in 2022, the same parties wanted to unfold, but it was so difficult.
Yeah.
So they actually formed new parties. An example is like there was a party from where I come from. It was called New Ford Kenya. It was New Ford Kenya.
Right.
It, yeah.
Yeah.
So the same people under that party, they folded the party under the former devolution CS, Eugene Wamalwa.
Yeah.
They folded the party into Jubilee Party. Fast forward in 2022, they had to form a different party called DAP. You see?
Kenya, yes.
That tells you.
Which penetrated pretty well.
Yeah,
let's give it to them.
Yeah, that tells you that having these parties actually there, not folding up into one party, is a very important factor in our democracy. Yeah. That's just one example. There are so many others that folded up into Jubilee Party, and actually they ended up forming new parties going into 2022. So we better not go the same route that has not worked. Let us maintain our parties, because each party stands for something, and it has members, maybe county assembly members, national assembly members, that represent the interests of the people who voted for him. Because mostly when you go to the political fronts, people sell the manifesto of their party. We as a party, we are going to do ABCD. We as Azimio, we as Kenya, like that. So when you fold these up, it's like, you see, you're crushing these small dreams that people had, and it will never see the light of the day.
Right.
So just let us maintain those parties for a healthy democratic nation.
All right.
Yeah.
As we keep these parties for a healthy democratic nation, just what are the chances that this union of Kenya Kwanza will survive? Because it's in the interest of every Kenya or Kenyan that this survives, so that we get to enjoy the best of development and the best of this very government. Because if we are to go back to history, and the most recent, that is the Jubilee government, we understand how much, Kenyans were, disadvantaged because of the infighting that existed therein. And so, just what are the chances that this one will hold for purposes of posterity, for purposes of us getting the benefits of this?
Exactly. I really don't want to be a prophet of doom, but I believe this marriage that is in Kenya Kwanza will survive.
Will survive
for some time.
Okay.
Because there are very quick lessons that are not lost to Kenyans. The marriage between, I don't know, it was which party? Between, the parties that brought together the Jubilee Party. The marriage that was there, the infusion and everything. You see, it disintegrated so fast. And I think from there, we've learned lessons of things not to do. And the way I know Mr. President now, that is Ruto, and the lessons he has picked up from the failing Jubilee Party, I don't think he's going to do some funny stuff that is going to crumple this new house that he has built with his own hands.
And therefore, the Kenya Kwanza government has an edge based on that, at least.
Okay. Yeah, because you see, most of the time, people come together because they have a history. They have been together for some time. Like now, those who came under Azimio, can see like maybe Charity Ngilu came on board, Kinajo, everybody that came on board, they have that chemistry of working together. Yeah. But for Dr. Ruto, it is a different story. What works?
What works, yes.
What will work for this? You see, someone like Alfred Mutua came into Kenya Kwanza like a month,
the last 2 months. Minute, yes.
He's now the CS
for Foreign Affairs.
And he appears to be a person that can be trusted.
Okay.
Yeah, when he says, I'll do this on this part, and that is the most important thing now in politics in Kenya for him, and he has a plus for that I'll promise this and I'm going to deliver on that. I have promised you, I'll give you a CS of this, I'll give you a PS of this, I'll give you a CS of this. All those promises, I know, around 80 to 90% of them are going to be fulfilled. And that is what has happened. So if he continues with that, on that trajectory, he's going to survive this marriage for the 5 years, unless something else happens. But if he continues to honor his pledges, stay true to the discussions that they have with every other leader that come to him, he's going to, in fact, instead of surviving it, he's going to make it grow. Okay. He's going to really expand. And you can see, immediately after the elections, even before the Supreme Court verdict came out, guys, new parties were trooping to Karen, to the deputy president's official residence, to sign a post-election pact. So many of them, in fact, some of them we have seen on media, some of them we've never seen. So it means immediately, when he will finally now say, this is my expanded, you will see like there are so many parties that were even in Azimio that have come on this side. And he's going to reward them, and if he continues like that, he's going to survive this marriage for the 5 years.
Okay. Let's see how it goes as we see the adjustments that will be made by the government on several sectors. The education sector, for instance, is at the heart of the growth of a nation.
Exactly.
And the competency-based curriculum is one of the things that many have been talking about. So they say no easy road for CBC review team. That's a story captured on the front page of the Sunday newspaper, expounded on page 14. But equally a story that we've been talking about for the better part of the few days that we have seen this government on board. While they were campaigning, they had thrown in some proposals. They kept on saying that it would even if it would mean scrapping off the CBC and getting us back to 844, they would do that if parents really do not get value. What do you make of this conversation of the competency-based curriculum? Are we trying to go a little bit fast in terms of just acknowledging and getting it to work for us, or perhaps there is need for indeed to have this team make a review and perhaps give us a comprehensive report as to whether this is a plus or a minus, and if a plus, then what do we do to improve on it?
Exactly. I think Kenyans have already given their reviews. If you go online every day, one parent or a person somewhere is complaining or maybe praising the CBC.
Yes.
And when you are doing campaigns, you need to say things that will make people vote for you. So the Kenya Kwanza team identified this as a weakness that was brought forth by the Jubilee.
The previous government, yes.
So they were saying we are going to scrap this thing, and actually many parents, especially the young mothers and fathers who go for hustle and they come back late in the night to be with their children only to find that homework is waiting for you. They really voted for this government because they knew CBC was going to be thrown out. But I have a different opinion.
Yes.
You see, this CBC has consumed a lot of resources from Kenyans. It's not a bad system. When it is properly reviewed and harmonized to reflect the, let me say, I don't say the will, but the expectations of a common or an average parent in Kenya, it's going to work. Because I don't think there's a huge problem with students on this, or the pupils, the school-going children. They don't have a problem per se with this system. The main problem is the parents. Why are we being asked, like the other day, Honorable Idmas was saying, chickens in the village are being finished. So the problem is to harmonize the expectations of the parents here. And I know that is what the review team is going to do. And looking at the names, the 40-something names that are in the review, these are great men and women from this country. I know they are not going to thrash this CBC.
Yes.
We have invested a lot of money in it, infrastructure-wise, software-wise, and everything-wise. We cannot afford just to throw it away and go back to 844.
Yeah.
There is going to be a working formula for this CBC.
Okay.
I feel the parents out there, sometimes you come back home and you are tired, you cannot be able to do any homework, you need to Google. But I feel for you, but let this review team do something about it so that they can harmonize and align the expectations of parents. You know, when you send your child to school, you have some expectations. So if they can push those things to be done in school mostly, the better. Because, the CBC was to bring a parent on board. But then the bringing of the parent on board is not working properly. So how do we reharmonize this and ensure that the expectations of the parents when they take their children to school are met, and also the expectations of the child are met in the same formula.
Okay.
That's the most important.
Another matter that we look forward to see this government address is the question of unemployment. They say they want to take a different approach. First of all, making sure that they, in a way, come in to bridge the gap of finances, that is for great minds that could otherwise, want to venture into spaces of entrepreneurship and also, just coming up with creative ideas to earn a living. But aside from that, there will be that need of, the unemployment gap to be sealed, even if it's a certain percentage, not in totality. What will it take for them to address this? And this in relation to one of our special reports that has been captured on the dailies this morning, where they speak of our girls in Saudi are indisciplined, we are not at fault. This is according to the claims of agencies. And I think we've seen this making rounds for the better part of the week and last week and all that. While there's been a lot of finger pointing, there's a clear indication that there's something that needs to be addressed. Unemployment, not just for the girls, unemployment, not just for Kenya, but even the African continent, is one of the things that really needs to be looked into. Do you suppose this government should have a different approach to it in relation to what we have seen from the previous reigns, and what are the chances that they are going to bring us a different approach that then will be helpful?
Exactly. The question and the concern of unemployment in Kenya, is actually a grave concern for many people. In Kenya, before you get unemployment in any place, you really must have hustled for a very long time. And around, I think, 80% of the adults that go to work in Kenya work in informal sectors. That is your Kali, this is just informal jobs. So I think the priority for this government is to ensure that the base, which is the 80% of the working adults, they are empowered, they are given, and I believe that is going to happen, I think, through the cooperatives ministry, the newly formulated under Chelugui, because they are going to have something like a hustler fund that's going to go down to the people. These people must be empowered. Tax review must happen on their businesses. There must be given ample spaces to work. For our economy, everybody cannot work in an office in Kenya. And we have very successful entrepreneurs in that informal sector. If you go downtown today, you'll find some of the richest Kenyans are actually in the informal sector, not in the formal sector. So the priority of this government, having run on a hustler narrative, is to reach out to those people in the income cadre, empower them, train them, give them resources by availing to them cheap loans. And I'm happy the president the other day met the CRB guys. Now guys are excited that their names are going to be struck out of that list. Yes, that is only one of the steps, but let us find ways that will make sure that the 80% of the working Kenyans, 80% who are in informal sector, get the proper resources and ample environment for them to be able to deliver. See, a hawker today here, just as an example, if you gave that person a humble time and resources to work, that's a person who is able to pay school fees for their children, they're able to pay their rent, and they are also able to accumulate wealth slowly by slowly. So what happens when they are not empowered? They get disenfranchised on their business, they get chased from one corner of the city to another, and they end up not making money. In fact, they end up not paying taxes that the government needs so badly as of this moment. So it's all about focusing on those people and their needs, and it's not about some technocrats sitting in an office somewhere and making decisions for these guys. It should be a participatory process. Sit with these guys frequently because things are changing. There's also a digital world where, and I'm so excited that many young Kenyans have really gone digital. Even the hawkers, I have one of my friend who is a hawker. He sells sweets, and actually is so digital. Yeah, he sends texts. That's a digital platform. Tells me when your sweets are running out,
please.
Let us restock.
Yes, yes.
And actually brings to my house. So you see, we must empower these people that you can work this way and you actually earn a very decent living. And for Kenyans, I want to persuade them that don't be thinking, don't meet a hawker somewhere or someone who is working in an informal sector, Juakali, and look down upon that guy. Because in Kenya, we don't have very little employment in the formal sector. And given a chance, every person working in the formal sector, it was a research done, I cannot do the quoting now, they want to go in the informal sector. You want to wake up anytime you want, Linda, actually.
That's true.
Yeah, you want to wake up anytime you want.
Well, definitely. You would wish for that to be the case, but then again, no.
But so that you cannot get that in the formal sector. So most people want to go in the informal sector. So the more we capacity build the informal sector in Kenya, the more we are going to have more people paying taxes, the more we are going to expand the tax base of Kenya, and the more we are going to have, because I saw the president saying we need to start harboring our saving culture. The more we shall have money in the pockets of the people, and the more they will save.
That's true.
Without that, without concentrating on enriching the informal sector in Kenya, we are going to have trouble even paying our loans that we have at the moment.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dennis, I must appreciate your presence this morning.
Thank you.
As, of course, we come to a close on this very important segment of looking at the papers and, importantly, deciphering on the matters that are of interest to the common Mwananchi. Your parting shot.
Thank you. So I think my parting shot for Kenyans is let us give this government a chance, because they are all leaders, even your member of parliament, your county assembly member, they are newly elected leaders. You cannot just start throwing aspersions on them, or they will not perform. Let us give them the necessary resources, support, and ensure that they deliver. And I believe, in the president's words, we are going to have a very vibrant opposition that's going to keep this government in check. And when the government is kept in check also, it should be checked. It should accept the checking, because we don't want to go back where people get arrested for criticizing the government or for not being a friend of the president.
Yes.
We want a free-flowing country where anyone, anywhere can say any objective thing against the government, and the government looks at that objective statement or suggestion, actually takes action, and because any inactions by the government will have consequences on an average citizen. So I wish that Kenyans support all elected leaders, whether they are in opposition or in government, so that we can have a free-flowing 5 years. Yeah. And maybe when they do well, we can re-elect them.
We can reconsider.
We can reconsider.
Re-elect them. Thank you so much, Dennis Yambi, youth leader and also political analyst, for the great insights this morning. Lots of feedback from those ones that acknowledge the contribution that you do in society, or that you give to society, and for that as well, we appreciate you this morning. Thank you so much for as well watching us. We do not close in totality, because we want to take a short break, and then we still have so much lined up for you, including a very, very interesting piece pertaining to the innocence of our children out there, and what we need to do as society to take care of them. An important report there by our very own Sharon Baranga. But even before we get to